man. The American system has just been so watered down by this intelligence factor. It's you know, I don't understand it. It's so arcane and complex. It's like it's 100 times more meddlesome than alchemy ever was. You know what I mean? Like there's this force at play that most people aren't even aware exists, and it's there. It's active in our lives on a day-to-day basis, and it's watching us, and it's elements of our government. It's scary.
Well, are you scared, or tell me what you're scared about? Seriously, I mean, let me ask you a few questions. What are you afraid of? Seriously.
I'm afraid that my television is watching me, because it is. I'm afraid that my cell phone is actively storing metadata from every conversation that I have, from every interview that I give, from every interview that I plan. It looks at my calendars, and it stores all of this information. And we know that this is happening, or it was happening.
I agree.
You know, it's something that people don't talk about because it's so uncomfortable to think about. And it's so easy to say, well, they're doing it for our defense. They're doing it to protect us. And that's well and good until they don't, until they aren't.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
You're right. I mean, you're right. There is always the potential where the information and data they're collecting on us could be used against us. That's all. I mean, that is that would be a conspiracy theory for sure, but the possibility exists. But see, I'm older. My thinking is at this point is, you know, I'm not going to fear what I can't control. Now I have a decision to make. If I want to be worried about it, then I don't have a TV, or I don't have a camera. I don't have it plugged in the wall. I don't have a smart TV. I don't have a smartphone. I use a burner phone. Whatever. I'm just saying, there's always ways around it. Where if somebody really, whether you want to have a radio show or a talk show and you want to interview people and talk about this, I mean, as soon as you start bringing people on like Ross and Thomas Whitmore and probably some of the things that I've said in this interview, if it gets out there, some people are going to go, who the hell is this guy? Please don't tell him. But the point is you will get. I mean, everybody gets on a list. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the point is once you start talking about things, they may not be watching every word that you say or every sentence that you type on your tweet. But if you get too many followers and you start to become an influencer, then you will be watched more closely. That's how it works. So you guys are under the radar right now, which is actually a good thing. I mean, to not have a lot of views is better than.
I don't know about all that. I told you about the Chinook flyover and Chris Mellon view of my LinkedIn profile at the same time. So,
well, you're different.
Could have been a total coincidence, but I don't know.
Well, you might be watched probably more closely because of your experiences, bro.
Yeah,
yeah. You live next to a nuclear power plant. That's scary, bro.
Yeah.
So I'll edit this out. But you sent me a file on Twitter that I've kept a lid on. Can I talk about that right now? And then if the conversation,
tell me what it's about first, because I don't remember what I sent you. Just give me an idea.
It was the curated and verified crash retrieval document.
Yeah, well, verified. That's you could talk about it. To say it's verified, I don't know that it's. For example, some of those on there, I was told, are accurate. I was also told that some of those are that the person that would maybe know about it said that they were not aware of that or they had not heard of some of those. So it's possible they're all accurate. It's possible that just some of them are accurate. So, yeah, if you want to talk about it, but I don't have any evidence to say that any of it's true. I can tell you that I believe that there are crashes. I believe there's a lot more crashes than we've been told about. But we can talk about it. I'm not afraid because it's not my document. I didn't print it out and send it out to people. It's not my my deal.
And we don't have to talk about whose it is or how you got it. But like I think that crash retrievals are it's like a trading card game. Like I check little ticks off on a box whenever I get new information, and I say, well, that makes it a little bit more believable. That makes it a little less believable. And people trade these with each other. Oh, have you heard about this one? Have you heard about that one? I've got a curated list right now that goes to 120 different crashes and crash retrievals by governments around the world. And to get something like this from somebody where even if the source says, they haven't heard about it. The ones that they have heard about and they have verified, at least to an extent, that's exciting to me. It's like
yeah, it is exciting. I totally agree. I get fucking fired up about it too. I mean, but I'll talk to you about a couple of them. If you want, I'll tell you about 3 of them that I believe in.
Please.
Okay, so I do believe.
Let me. Can I interject real quick? I had a walrus say to tell you were a piece of shit, Sensei, and that was directed at you, E. A walrus told me to tell you that message.
Oh, UFO Shane.
Yeah.
That cracks me up. Oh, I like that guy's energy though, man. He fucking got a lot of energy.
It's fun. Yeah. Here you go.
So I believe that. Okay, so you guys know that the crash in 1947 didn't actually happen in Roswell. It was right nearby Roswell, and then later they discovered another crash that had occurred that was not recovered immediately. So those were those 2, right? That I believe actually happened. That I believe that, totally believe that. Okay, so then let's fast forward to 1953. You had the Kingman landing and the Kingman crash. I believe there might have been 2 crashes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that also. So if you want to just, I'll put my name that, as far as my own personal research, I believe in both those crashes. Now, there's another one that's not talked about that I was told about that happened in Nevada near a mine. I can't remember if it was King Mine or something. I forget the name of it. It might be on that list you got right there. If you look, I think it was 1960 something. Anyway, so what apparently happened was the
1962 Holloman, 1964 Fort Riley, 1966 Northwest Arizona, 66.
No, this would be the 60s in Nevada.
Okay.
It'd be great if
I think it was 67 or something like that, or 65. I can't recall.
Okay, yeah, keep going. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Anyway, so the deal is from what I was told, there was a crash of a very large object that was not man-made. That the propulsion system on this object I'm not going to say it was nuclear, but it had the same effects as a nuclear type of device would have, whereby the radiation that came off this crash killed some of the. At that time, they had the miners out there in a mine that were doing mining, and when they came out and observed this, apparently they died. So people died as a result of the radiation that was emitting from this crash. So eventually, when they figured out, the DART team, the crash retrieval team, got out there, they realized through their technology that this thing was emitting this type of radiation. So they were trying to figure out how they couldn't pick it up and take it to Wright-Patterson or Kirtland Air Force Base or Area 51 or wherever the fuck they take these things. They couldn't actually take this thing because of what was emitting from it. It was too dangerous. So they finally decided that the only thing that they could do with it is to bury it. So what they did is they took an extremely large amount of dynamite and so on and so forth, and they blasted a massive hole in the desert, way out in the middle of nowhere, right nearby where this craft was, and then they dug it out very, very deep. I'm told somewhere in the neighborhood of a half a mile or whatever. Could have been more. I don't know exactly. And then they buried this thing. They literally buried this craft in the earth and covered it up, and it's still there to this day. And to this day, you can't even still go out there because they've got all these warning signs with fences around, protected area, do not enter, that whole thing. And if anybody were to go out there and try to just sneak in, there's a good chance that the radiation that's still out there might potentially cause